Real Madrid progressed to the semi-finals of the Champions League at the expense of Chelsea, despite the best efforts of the holders in the second leg. Watch until the end of this review to hear all of my thoughts on yesterday's match. Hello people, welcome to my channel, welcome to another video. This is my review of the match that took place yesterday evening at the Santiago Bernabeu in the UEFA Champions League quarter-final second leg between Real Madrid and Chelsea, which Chelsea did end up winning by 3 goals to 2 on the evening, but in terms of the overall tie, ended up losing 5-4 on aggregate. So what I'm going to do for you guys in terms of this review is that firstly, I'll run you through the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of the match against Real Madrid yesterday evening. I'll then be giving you guys my thoughts on the match itself, and as always, I'll be breaking it down into the first half and the second half. I'll be doing the exact same for the extra time period as well, and in addition to all of that, I'll be giving you guys the positives and the negatives that I have taken from the match. And lastly, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on Chelsea's upcoming FA Cup semi-final that will be taking place this Sunday at Wembley Stadium against Crystal Palace, with kickoff at 4:30 p.m. UK time. So without further ado, let's get straight into this review. So we shall begin by taking a look at the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of yesterday's match against Real Madrid. And of course, we're going to begin by talking about the formation that he chose. And in the case of the lineup that was fielded at the start of yesterday's match against Real Madrid, it was a 3-4-1-2, which is of course a variation of the 3-5-2 formation. But yes, that was the formation that was chosen. And in terms of the players that were selected to start the match, he went with Edouard Mendy in goal. The back three was made up of Reece James in the right centre-back position, Thiago Silva in the centre of the back three, with Antonio Rudiger in the left centre-back position. In terms of the four just in front of the three and behind the one, it was Ruben Loftus-Cheek who was in the right wing-back position. N'Golo Kante and Mateo Kovacic were deployed in the two central midfield positions, with Marcos Alonso in the left wing-back position. In terms of the one just ahead of the four and behind the two, it was Mason Mount in the number 10 position, and our front two was made up of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. So that is the lineup that Thomas Tuchel fielded at the start of yesterday's match against Real Madrid. Now I am going to run you guys through my thoughts on the match itself, and yes, I'm going to begin by giving you guys my thoughts on the first half of the 90 minutes, of course. And I have to be honest and say that Real Madrid did make the better start out of the two sides on the field, of course, and they really did put us on the back foot. They put us under a lot of pressure. They did force us into making mistakes, and they did have a couple of decent chances, although we managed to hold our own and get the opening goal, which was one of the things that we absolutely needed. And we did that, and I have to say it came through a brilliant piece of play. I can't remember which players were involved, but the ball ended up falling to Mason Mount on the edge of the box. He did get into the box with the ball and he side-footed it home. It was a brilliant curling shot, and a shot that Courtois had absolutely no chance of saving. It was a glorious hit, and that put us back into the tie. And after that, we had full control of the tie. The not full control of the game, not the tie. My bad. After that goal was scored, we had full control of the game. Real Madrid were on the back foot for the rest of the half, as far as I'm concerned. We had some decent chances, despite us completely dominating the rest of the first half. I have to say, we didn't create too many chances, but we did get into good positions, and we did miss a couple of passing opportunities, which is something that I did pick up on during the half. And we did give away cheap throw-ins as well, which is something that didn't help us in terms of it didn't let me start again. We gave away cheap throw-ins, which didn't help us in terms of our attacking because it slowed our attacks down and it gave Real Madrid the opportunity to get up the pitch. But um, thankfully, we didn't allow them to do that too often because let's be honest, they did have some shots from distance, but they didn't really test Edouard Mendy for the remainder of the first half. And I have to say that it was a good first half from Chelsea, although we just needed to move the ball quicker in the final third to create chances. But in terms of my thoughts on the second half, I felt that we did exactly that. We started moving the ball a lot quicker and we did win a flurry of corners in the second half, and one of them did result in us getting the equaliser in terms of the overall situation in the tie. And it came through Antonio Rudiger, and it was one of his trademark goals. It was a great header from him. Courtois had absolutely no chance of saving it. It was right in the bottom corner. Great header, and that equalised things. And after that, we threatened a third, and we all thought that we got a third, although it was ruled out for handball. The ball came in to Marcos Alonso, who then got past one of the Real Madrid players. He tried to shoot, and it deflected off the Real Madrid player and onto his arm. And Marcos Alonso fired the ball into the top right corner with his weaker right foot. And I have to say that um, they need to keep the rules the same because the very fact that they keep changing it is just making it confusing for those watching or for those who are watching, as well as the players themselves. Because I thought that should have stood, but of course I understand why it didn't because of the rule. But I thought Marcos Alonso was a bit hard done by, especially when you consider how close he was to the Real Madrid player um, when it deflected off of him, and especially when you consider where his arm was when the ball actually hit it. But yes, it was disallowed, and we did end up getting the third goal through Timo Werner, and I have to say that he deserved it because I thought he was really good. He was getting into really good positions. He was causing their backline all sorts of problems with his movement, and he did it again for the goal. Ball comes into him. He gets past a few players. He shoots, and it did take a deflection, and it went into the bottom corner, and he deserved it because I thought he was one of our best players. He certainly looked one of our most threatening players, if I'm being completely honest with you, and he did play a part in the first goal, so he did deserve a goal for that reason. Um, but yes, um, honestly, at that point, I thought we had the tie wrapped up. I thought we were going to progress, but sadly, we conceded in the 80th minute, and I have to say, despite being frustrated with the fact that we conceded, I have to say that it was a glorious pass from Luka Modric with the outside of his boot, and it fell into Rodrigo's path and he just tapped it home. Mendy, no chance of saving it, and that equalised things. Um, that equalised things in terms of the overall tie, and that did send things into extra time. And we conceded in the 96th minute through Benzema, and I have to say that we really should have defended this a lot better. Firstly, we should not have allowed Vinicius Junior to get into that position in the first place, and secondly, we should have been tracking Benzema's run. But yes, honestly, disappointing. I'm gutted because we were absolutely sensational in terms of our performance, and we definitely had to be, but it just wasn't to be. But in terms of the positives and the negatives, one positive, two negatives, and yes, I know we won the game, but I'm looking at things from the overall tie, and I have to say that the only positive that I took is that it was a strong performance. And yes, it is a really good positive because it really was a strong performance from the players. Um, I was not expecting us to be that good, and I know that I've seen us perform like that before, but honestly, I really wasn't expecting as much as I saw from the boys in yesterday's game, given that it's Real Madrid. But yes, we put in a strong performance, and the boys have to be proud of that because if they play like that or anything like that for the rest of the season or the majority of the season, they'll do very well and they'll qualify for the Champions League next season for sure, and they'll hopefully win the FA Cup. But I can't say too much about that because, of course, we've got a semi final this Sunday. But, anyways, it was a strong performance, and that is the only positive that I took from the match. I'm sure there are other positives out there, but like I said, I'm just looking at things from the overall tie. Um, the two negatives now. The first one is that we lost our concentration. Um, I thought we lost our concentration for both goals, and that is something that we will need to rectify, especially when we consider the fact, or especially if we consider the sorry, or especially if we consider the fact that we do have an FA Cup semi-final coming up this Sunday. But yes, we did lose our concentration for both goals, and that did result in us going out. And in terms of the first leg as well, we definitely lost our concentration there. But anyways, that's the first positive. Almost said positive. That's the first negative that I took from the match, and the second negative that I took from the match is that we were not clinical enough. Christian Pulisic came on. He had some chances. He should have buried them. Jorginho came on. He had a chance. He had a couple of chances as well. Should have buried them. Hakim Ziyech didn't have as many chances as the other two had, but he did have some chances and he should have done better. Um, who else came on? I can't even remember who else came on, but we did have some chances in the extra time and we just didn't bury them. And it's a shame because had we done so, we would have been in the we would have been in the semi-finals of the Champions League. But anyways, those are the positives and the negatives that I took from the match, and that is it for my thoughts on yesterday's match. Do feel free to drop your thoughts down below, and I'll do my very best to respond. As always. Anyways, let's move on. Now, to end this review, I am going to give you guys my thoughts on Chelsea's upcoming FA Cup semi-final that will be taking place this Sunday at Wembley Stadium against Crystal Palace with kickoff at 4:30 p.m. UK time. Honestly, if we replicate our performance from yesterday's game in our FA Cup semi-final, then we have every chance of going through to the final. It will not be easy because Crystal Palace are a fantastic team. They've been doing absolutely brilliantly this season. They've taken points in the Premier League. They've taken Premier League points off of the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City, and Tottenham Hotspur. So we have to take them very seriously. It will not be an easy game. I'll say it again, but hopefully we get the job done. What I'll also add is that tiredness is not an excuse, given that we'll have a few days of rest. But hopefully they get the job done. I will be doing a preview for that game. It will be coming out on Saturday. But do stay tuned for that. And that is it for this review. Actually, just before I go, I'm just going to say credit to Real Madrid. They got the job done. Um, I've seen some Real Madrid fans come out and say that they were lucky and that we were really good, and fair play to them because if you can get the job done despite not being at your best, that's the sign of a champion, or that's the sign of a team that is looking to win the competition. And if Real Madrid do go all the way, despite what they've been through in the last few years, you have to hold your hands up or tip your hat off, or tip your hat rather. But yes, if they do go all the way, then fair play to them. But they're now through to the Champions League semi-final and will be facing either Manchester City or Atletico Madrid. We'll find out later on. But anyways, that is it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you all very soon. Come on, you Blues. Come on, Thomas Tuchel, and peace.